Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. My name is Christina. This is a reading for Twin Flame Divine Feminines, or if you're just looking to work with and balance the feminine energies within yourself, then this reading is for you. The main focus of your reading today is what is your current energy? How can you shift your focus? I don't know why I'm having trouble with that. I feel like that question wants to shift a little bit, but anyways, how can you shift your focus and where is an area of growth? So, Divine Feminine, I've pulled your cards already. Let's get started. We're going to start with actually the tarot bottom of the deck because you have here 10 of voices, the Fool, and the 10 of materials, which is such an interesting combination. And there's this pattern going through sort of all the questions today where I've pulled 3 sort of anchor cards for each question with the animal deck that I'm using. And all of those dynamics have this thing where it's like one card in the middle that I feel like is your central energy, and then plus 2 sort of similar energies on either side of it, right? So you can see it's kind of like a sandwich. The Fool is sandwiched by the 10s, which of course represent completion. So it's kind of like you, DF, are absolutely sort of starting some sort of new phase or adventure with the Fool, flanked by sort of this completion energy of like the 10 of voices, which of course talks about like dark night kind of energy. It doesn't feel that extreme to me. It's more so like the ending of like a karmic cycle, perhaps. And also perhaps moving away from sort of the manifested reality that you have around you. That's how I see this 10 of materials. And so that's sort of the underlying energy of your reading today. And then we have here harmony and balance. Harmony and balance. So this harmony card has been coming out with increasing frequency in the last couple of readings, which is talking to me about balance, especially with resistance as well. As like I feel like this next period, perhaps this next phase, especially the beginning parts, may have a bit of resistance in terms of like there's a lot of kind of tricky energy that you're sort of having to go through, that kind of thing, but that it is going to be balanced. So if you are experiencing any sort of hardship in any way, that hardship or difficulty will be balanced by whatever the opposite energy of that hardship is. So that's something to keep in mind. And you have as well the Lamb and the Fish, which I love so much. These are such like gentle, wholesome kind of energies today. The fish to me just came in with the message of good luck. And the lamb talks about like vulnerability, so there may be something about there or innocence in some way, so keep that in mind. I feel like that will come back, but we'll start here with the first section of what's your current energy. So I'm going to show all 3 cards at once: the turtle, the elephant, and the golden egg. So this is the pattern where you have 2 similar energies sandwiching something in the middle that's a bit different, that almost has contrasting energies. Sorry, it looks like my face is swollen on this side. Anyways, really random side note, but the elephant, which talks about destroying obstacles, but followed with sort of this like really gorgeous, almost like delicate, sincere energy is kind of how it's coming through. Like, so destroying obstacles, which is very sort of aggressive, followed by very non-aggressive like energies. And it's coming through with this first card, the Transcendence card, which in the guidebook for this deck, there was a Confucius quote which said, wherever you go with all your heart. And that's what this energy is talking about, because I feel like, DF, for you, there's absolutely some sort of significant shift that's coming for you, or that you're going towards, and it's reminding you that wherever you go go with all of your heart. That's what this is. Like very quick sort of forward momentum with this, that's your current energy. I do want to talk about this turtle a little bit more and the golden egg, because I feel like there's this energy here of like, with the 10 of materials, of like recognizing where it is that you came from, like something about roots as well, because it's starting with the Fool, or like the overall energy of your reading today is the Fool, some sort of new start, but it's like drawing on your past experiences, or your story could be what it is. It could be shifting your story, something about that, like, or like changing or rewriting some aspect of your story in order in this next phase, is kind of how it's feeling. Because when I thought about the turtle today, I immediately thought of my grandmother, because she was a very pivotal sort of person in raising me and shaping who I am, which is this 10 of materials. Well, what's interesting about the turtle is that her favorite animal, this is something that I've always known about her, her favorite animal has always been a rabbit. Right? And so I was bringing the idea of like the hare and the tortoise. But my most significant memory, I want to say, of my grandmother is actually she would take us to this sort of Japanese botanical garden, and there were turtles in the pond area, and she would teach us how to play like a game. I guess it's like knuckle bones or something, but the Korean version of it with pebbles. That's what this is bringing in. It's something like, even though her sort of, it's an actions speak louder than words kind of energy, especially with the elephant. It's like whatever you do, all the sort of actions that you take from this point forward, make sure that it is coming from the heart, right? Something that is true to how you were raised or brought up, or your values perhaps, something that is absolutely true and fundamental to who you are, and your heart space is kind of what this is talking about. Okay, because we have here next the Emperor, and then the 8 of Emotions in reverse. The 8 of Emotions in reverse, which is so interesting because it looks like this, right? That's sort of what it's talking about. I love this Emperor card because it is sort of, it's a masculine energy, but in the Muse deck, of course, all of the energy, the characters, I guess, are feminine, right? So it's a feminine representation of the Emperor. So you, DF, in this case, are perhaps having to draw on your masculine energies in order to take this action, but making sure that the actions that you take from this point on are all from the heart space, right? And I feel like it has to do something with the 8 of Emotions to come out in reverse, because that talks about walking away from something, but it's almost like, because I'm seeing this, even though this is a reverse, it's walking away from something that is undesired. This reading today was, last night I stayed up reading a book really late. I don't normally do that. I haven't done that in a while, I should say. I used to do that a lot, but I haven't done that in a while. But it was just so compelling that I had to keep reading it, because there were so many downloads in there for me as well. And that it's sort of bringing in this energy where the main character, she was desired by sort of a community or a group, right? Like she had this ability to sort of, it's this 10 of materials. There's so much here. I don't want to spoil the book. I'm trying to make it as general as possible, where UDF, I feel like what this is talking about is that there may be sort of opportunities presented to you where it's like a new job or something that has a very sort of 10 of materials vibe. And what I see about this is that there's an energy of like joining a group or joining a collective or joining some sort of like company is kind of how it's talking, like how I see it. perhaps provides some sort of safety and stability, right? But it does sort of come at the expense of the individuals in the community. So it drains the energy from the individuals. And that's what this energy is talking about. It's almost like having to not go in this direction because there's something here that's like going to drain your energy in some way or pull on. It's basically, it's not aligned with your heart, right? It's not aligned with your heart. And it almost feels like this energy is like pulling you in because there are perhaps benefits. Like it would be like you would be safe in a group, or it would be beneficial in some way in terms of like your safety or security. But something about the goals of this energy, this 10 of materials, is not aligned with your heart, right? And so that's why you're having to sort of make a different choice, is kind of how it's talking about, even if that means you'll have to be independent. Because this Queen of Voices is talking about having almost like a stirred up energy, right? It's like this is you having to maintain a really sort of strong focus because there are energies in your environment that cause confusion or are just so not aligned with your vision or your purpose or whatever it is, that it causes too much, like you having to focus really hard to maintain your clarity, right? That's what that energy is, whatever this 8 of emotions is. But it's like, because the thing about that the story that I was reading is that there were these, like, it was a fantasy story. So there are these magical sort of communities that were built by strong wizards, and everyone sort of wanted to be a part of that community, right? This is what it was representing on the surface. They wanted to be part of this community because it represented safety, right? There was a safety and security and a community, sense of belonging. Those were really sort of coveted positions that people spent their lives trying to achieve, of like, I want to get into that community so that I will be protected, my kids will have a future, that kind of thing. That's what this energy is that you are being asked to really take a good look at, because what the character learned about these communities, prompted by sort of her mother, right? Her mother, when she was a kid, she wanted to go into that community because it represented safety, right? But her mother refused to, because she had a knowledge about this energy, right? What's underneath. That this community was actually built on something extremely dark, is just how I'm going to put it, right? There was a sort of a dark secret on how this community was built and what it required. Like, there was some sort of really dark sacrifice that was necessary in order to build the foundation of that community. And so even though the main character was invited into sort of this position of like having safety and all that, there was a darkness that she can sense that prevented her from saying yes, because she knew that from her grandmother's sort of perspective, or her mother's perspective, I should say, there was a darkness there that the community members had shielded themselves from in order to protect their own peace of mind, is kind of how it's coming through. So that's such an interesting current energy. I don't know how that will play out for you. I feel like that will be specific to each of you. There's some sort of thing that has a draw, right? Because it provides safety or community or whatever it is. But the way that you were raised, perhaps, or whatever is true to you, doesn't have to be related to your parents or anything like that. But it's like some aspect of this does not resonate with your heart space. And it's almost like having to go off on your own, right? With the 7 of inspiration, of having to sort of like push back against that energy that is trying to draw you in, and doing it on your own. But I want to say for you, DF, is that you absolutely have some sort of gift or ability, some aspect of your story, your personal history, perhaps your personality, something that allows you to do this with ease, because it's like there is a draw for you, because I feel like there would be some sort of benefit that you could give to these ones, right? The people in your life, or however the 10 of materials plays out in your specific situation. But it's like you have something that they need. Absolutely. There's something that you have the ability to do or transmute that would absolutely assist these ones in sort of maintaining the illusion. But it's not in alignment with who you are. Okay, I'm going to shift to how can you shift your focus? So we have here the tarantula, which is so interesting because it came out next to the egg today, right? And so I was really drawn to this sort of the yellow in the background, that I feel like this shift will feel a bit unstable, because there's this kind of like the tarantula I talk about is like losing your web, your sense of safety, because of the of factors that are outside of your control. And so it's kind of like, in order to follow your heart of wherever it is that you're going, you would have to leave behind some sort of safety or stability or structure. And then you have here the wolf and the butterfly. So this is another thing, like the pattern again that's coming up. One really strong energy in the middle, flanked by 2 similar energies, right? With the insects and the wolf. The wolf today I always see, the wolf I always see as being sort of like having to leave your pack, right? Because wolves are very much pack animals, but this one is alone. They stand alone. And with the butterfly, it's talking about an epiphany. It could be like freedom, a new set of experiences that you're going to go through. But what's interesting about this butterfly today is that it came out with the 8 of voices, which is very clearly the cocoon, right? It's like the space that you're about to enter, the phase, the journey, the next part of your life, or whatever it is, the next choice that you make will require you to sort of step into this like energetic cocoon, is kind of how it's feeling, where there may not be a lot of light or clarity or a sense of stability or safety. Like it may feel kind of disorienting, I want to say, or that you can't see what the next step forward is, that kind of thing. But then you have here the initiation and the rebirth, which is so appropriate. It's like this period of confusion or feeling constrained, perhaps, is absolutely sort of this period of initiation. What I'm getting for this is kind of like, you know, in those like in those movies where a character is being initiated into some sort of like group, they put like a hood over their head so that they can't see where it is they're going. That's sort of this energy. It's not that extreme, right? I feel like it's just energetically, that's sort of what it might feel like. But then at the end of that process, at the end of whatever this sort of like dark tunnel, cocoon energy is you absolutely have a rebirth, right? This butterfly, where it's just going to be freedom. It's going to feel like freedom. And you have here the emptiness card, which I love so much, because I feel like there's something about this process that is going to, because it's talking about, like what I said in the first part about rewriting your story, there may be that sort of aspect of like, you thought that up until this point you were a caterpillar, but you were absolutely now you're sort of rewriting your your story or your abilities or whatever it is into this, like the butterfly. It's not a new chapter, it's a new story. It's a new book, a new volume. That kind of like big change is kind of how it's feeling today. And then what you have here is the Lovers. The Lovers energy, the Three of Inspiration, and the Muse of Emotion. So I feel like for you, DF, you are going to be met on the other side of this transformation, because I'm seeing this wolf as actually being somebody who meets you on the other side, right? It's like you're going towards this thing. You don't know what it is or who it is that you're going towards, but there will be somebody here on the other side to sort of meet you there, is kind of how it's feeling as well. And with the Three of Inspiration, I feel like this is talking about like it's like the dominoes are falling into place. I know that's not the right saying, but that's kind of how I'm just reading it today. And just a reminder, because I feel like it will be kind of unclear of what the next step is, that you have the Gratitude card, which to me talks about like remembering that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, and that all of this sort of like cycling, the initiation, the period of darkness perhaps, is absolutely part of the human experience and how we grow and how we evolve and all of that. It is sort of this energy of like the harmony and the resistance, where you first have to have a difficult experience that will eventually be balanced in some way on the other side, or once this sort of resistance thing is over. I would take a look at the Capricorn reading that I posted yesterday, because it feels like it may be related to that, especially in the sort of the cards that are coming out in the next section. But you do also have here the Muse of Emotions, which to me is talking about like a reunion of sort, or like somebody on the other side that you will meet that's going to like give you water, or like give you the nourishment, or just like, especially because it feels like you're like going into sort of like a dark period. It's the one who's going to welcome you and sort of take care of you, or like clean you up, or whatever it is. There's that energy here. And the Page of Materials, which to me always talks about like focusing on your goal, right? It's like you focusing so much on the outcome that you're desiring, the Lover's energy perhaps, of like, that is the thing that is keeping you going forward, even though sort of everything else in your immediate environment is a bit unclear, or it's dark, or there's not a lot of light, that kind of thing. Okay. So I'm going to pause here. I'm going to move to the extended. That's posted on YouTube already, so you can go watch that immediately. I do have other videos if you're interested in watching those. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I will see you in the next one.